Hello, it's Ryan from 2minutetennis.net, and in this video, I'm going to give you 3 of my favorite double strategies to help you win your next doubles match. Here it is. Number 1, hit the ball to the opponent who is standing where you are standing. Hit the ball to the opponent who is standing where you are standing. When you're in the back, hit the ball to the other team's back person. This strategy takes all the guesswork out of where you should hit the ball. Now, the other team's baseliner should hit the ball to you. This is why you see a lot of cross-court ground stroking when you look at doubles, right? The baseliners are prolonging the point, and they hit the ball to the other team's baseliner, and the ball just continues going back and forth. Your job in the back is not to end the point, because if you end the point in the back, you're most likely going to lose the point. So keep the point going when you're in the back by hitting it cross-court, most of the time, to the other team's baseliner. When you're at the net, the same rule applies. If this is you at the net, you need to hit the ball to the opponent who is standing where you are standing. So you get an overhead, a high ball, a medium ball. You're hitting it hard at the feet, a strong volley right at the feet of the other team's net player. Even if they get that ball back, it's just a pop-up that you come in and just slam away. So you want to hit the ball to the opponent who is standing where you're standing. Your job at the net is to end the point. The most common mistake I see players make is they're at the net, they've got an overhead, they got a high volley, they got a medium volley, and they just hit it right back to the baseliner who's got all the time in the world, and then the ball goes cross court and the point continues, and the net player squanders the situation and the opportunity. When you're at the net, avoid the baseliner most of the time, and you're going to hit hard to the feet of the other team's net player. Now let's talk about the exceptions to this rule. Well, when you're in the back, every once in a while you do want to go down the line. And one time you want to do this is if you have a very aggressive net player. Remember, they know you're going to try to go cross court, so if they're aggressive and poaching and nailing it at your partner, it's a good idea every now and then to go down the line, I would say 1 out of 10 times, just to keep them honest so that when you want to hit cross court, it'll be open because they're too worried about the alley. So you don't need to go down the alley if they're covering the alley. You only need to go down the alley if they're poaching too much and you want to keep them honest. Once you go down the alley one time, you basically bought yourself the next 20 points of cross-court shots because they're worried about that one down the line that you tried. Whether you miss it or make it, to me, it doesn't matter. You're hitting down the line not to win the point, but to open up the cross-court, the prolonging shot back to the other baseliner for the next 20 shots. And the exception when you're at the net is if you have a low volley. So if the ball comes to you low and you got a half volley or a low volley, you don't want to pop it up to the other net player because the net player can slam you. So when you have a high ball, a medium ball, an overhead, you want to hit it hard to the other net player, right? Net players hit to net players, hit the ball to the opponent who's standing where you're standing. But if you have a low volley, that's when you want to avoid this player, hit it back to the side where the farthest player is, farthest from you, and then they really should go cross court. But if they don't and they give you a high ball, then you can hit it hard to the other net player. So baseliners hit to baseliners. And every once in a while, you can go down the line in case this person keeps poaching. And net players need to slam it at net players. And the exception is if you have a low volley, don't give it to them. Hit it back to the other team's baseliner. Just that strategy, you could literally stop I hope you don't, but you could stop the video right now, go out and play a match, and abide by those aiming strategies. You will play a completely different match, and you will beat teams you normally lose to, guaranteed. Idea number 2. It has to do with when you lob your opponents. So this is you, and you lob successfully over the net player. Where should you go? Do you know? Where should you go? You and your partner need to put your toes on the service line. Here's why. This team is going to switch. And the net player, when they switch, usually moves straight across. We'll discuss that with tip number 3. But the team switches. What type of shot does this person usually hit? Remember, it was a high ball that's now bouncing up high, especially on their backhand side if they're over there on the ad side and they're right-handed. They're going to lob that ball back. What shot do you want to hit off of a lob? You want to hit an overhead. Well, if you and your partner get super tight to the net, that's what Vic Braden calls rushing the net to lose at a faster rate. Now you just made it very easy for your partner to lob, or sorry, your opponent to lob over you. And if you don't go anywhere and you and your partner literally never move, and sometimes this player even gets tighter to the net, then you just made it super easy for them to lob you. And if they lob down the line, you're never going to hit an overhead from behind the baseline. So you squander that opportunity. So when you lob your opponent in doubles, you want to man down. I am not editing a thing. You know that. And of course, it rolled across the floor. So you and your partner want to put your toes right on the service line. That way, when they lob to your partner, even if it's a good lob, your partner moves back, bam, can hit an overhead right at the net player. Same thing. If it pushes you back, you can hit an overhead to the net player. If your opponent hits a weak lob that's going to land short, you can run forward 3 steps. Again, following the rule, the first rule, aim for the opponent who's standing where you're standing. When you're at the net and you have an overhead, you want to find the person closest to you. So putting yourself on the service line gives you the best chance of winning that point. Now let's say they don't lob. Let's say they just hit a ground stroke. And if they hit a ground stroke and it's low, then you want to hit it back to the baseliner. You can move in a little bit if they're not typically the lobbing type. If they are the lobbing type, you can stay where you are. And then when they give you the lob, then you can hit it to the net player. But simply stated, when you lob over your opponents in doubles, you and your partner have to put your toes on the service line. Let me draw this again. This is so important. Most times, and when I say most, I mean 99 times out of 100, not 3 out of 4, but literally 99 times out of 100, you see this player lob down the line, this team switches, and this team never moves, never does anything. You almost never see this player correctly move back to the service line. And rarely does this person move forward to the service line. But if you can create a wall when you lob your opponent and you force them to switch, when they lob it back, 8 times out of 10, you'll have an overhead that you can slam and hit right at the net person who has no time to react. Tip number 3 has to do with when you're lobbed, and it has to do with the switching. So let's reverse the scenario. Opponent, this is you. Lobs over your head. Your partner needs to come and get it. I'm not even going to say these players move. They stay exactly where they are. This is you. I want you to train yourself to move back diagonally into no man's land. Now, you're not moving there to stay there. You're moving there to gain information and to find out where you should go. And it's all based on your partner's shot. If your partner lobs it and hits a weak lob that's going to be slammed by the net player, the person on the service line, you'll move all the way back. Remember, net players are trying to find net players. If you're both behind the baseline, they have no choice but to hit the wrong shot, meaning you're not a dead duck up here. And if you stay up when you switch, you get nailed by that overhead. That's why you have to move back diagonally. And if your partner hits a weak lob, you then just say, oh, wow, my partner hit not a great lob. No big deal. I can move behind the service line. Then when they hit it to you, you find the baseliner. Your partner can instantly run forward, and then the point continues. And if they hit the ball to your partner, it's the same thing. Partner can move forward, whatever. The point continues when your opponents have an overhead and you move all the way back. This is what typically happens. This is what I typically see. And I kind of alluded to it. The ball goes over this person's head here. Your partner comes and gets it. This is what I typically see. I typically see the net player stay up, especially that's not good, especially if this team watches this video and knows to go to the service line. You are a dead duck. The amount of pressure that is on your partner right now to keep you safe is quite a lot, because if they hit any type of weak ball, you're going to get nailed by that shot. So the rule is simple. When you are playing doubles and a ball goes over your head, so your partner hits cross court, there's a lob over you, your partner comes and gets it, you need to move back diagonally into no man's land. Then watch what your partner does. If your partner hits just a ground stroke, let's say they don't even go anywhere and they just hit a ground stroke down the line, you would quickly move forward, hope that the next ball gets close to you, and then you can slam it right at the feet of the other net player. This is so incredibly simple. You're going to have to watch this video a couple times to really get it ingrained in your head. But hit the ball to the opponent who is standing where you are standing, and you'll be right 9 times out of 10. When you lob successfully over your opponents and they have to switch, you and your partner need to put your toes on the service line, and then that next ball is going to be an overhead, and most likely when your opponents switch, there's still a net person and you're going to slam them with that overhead. You're not trying to hurt anybody, you're just hitting to that side of the court that's occupied by the person who has less time to react. And when you are lobbed, when the ball goes over your head and you yell switch, when you move and you move to your partner's side, move back diagonally quickly into no man's land. Watch your partner's shot, but move into no man's land. And if they hit a nice low ball at their feet, you can always move forward. But if they hit a high ball and you're going to get slammed, you can move all the way back behind the baseline. These strategies are so simple, but through 24 years of coaching, I've learned that it's those simple, easy strategies that no doubt help you gain confidence, win more matches, and play much better tennis. This is Ryan Reedy from 2minutetennis.net. You got this.